that I'm doing fine. You guys are on my mind. You asked me what I wanted to be, and now I think the answer is plain to see. I wanna be famous. I wanna live close to the sun. Oh, pack your bags, cause I've already won. Everything to prove, nothing in my way. I'll get there one day. Cause I wanna be famous. Na 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 na. I wanna be famous. I wanna be famous.
Welcome to the Animation Block. Hey guys, it is Ryder here, and we are back with another Animation Block cartoon podcast. This is number 26, and this is actually going to be the final episode of Season 2. I know we promised 14-episode seasons at least with the Animation Block, but this season and this year it's kind of been a little bit crazy just schedule-wise, and because I want to do new things for Season 3 this upcoming summer, I think we're going to just close it off 2 episodes early, but we do have a big thing. We have some big things to talk about here. We have some controversial things to talk about. As usual, we try to work some of those in because those are some more interesting things, some more thought-provoking things. Because they're taking over the world, this is going to be a very superhero cartoon-themed episode as well. There's a lot of things that are happening, video game-wise, cartoon-wise. Things are being announced for future upcoming months and years and all this. And I think right now it's a very prime topic. So we're going to start off today talking about the newly announced DC animated series, DC's Superhero Girls, the series. So I'll just give you guys a little bit of a background on this. DC Superhero Girls was very similar to something like Mighty Magiswords on Cartoon Network. It was these shorts that Cartoon Network and Warner Brothers and DC Animation would put out every month or so, and it would feature some of their female characters, but in a high school setting. These quick little, 3-minute shorts, and then occasionally they would have, I think they've had 3 big movies that they've done, so like hour programs, made for television movies, and they're direct to DVD or they're on Cartoon Network, and it's very much, I'd say, more geared towards girls, right? They want to appeal towards girls. They have a whole line of action figures, or it's more like Barbie dolls that look like these characters. So now you're wondering, hey man, why are you talking about this, right? This sounds like My Little Pony with DC. Well, I guess it is kind of that, as the producer of My Little Pony will be doing this show. This is why I'm talking about it, though, because we're in a world now where Wonder Woman's coming out with a female director, with a first female-led superhero film that's like a big deal, not that something like crappy like Catwoman from 2004 or whatever. And it's like, this is nice that female superheroes are getting their chance in the spotlight to lead shows, to lead movies, especially like mainstream characters. The second reason I'm mentioning this is because as a DC Comics fan, it's not a half-bad show. I know it's weird, right? I'm off watching Rick and Morty and, Samurai Jack Season 5, these more adult things, and then there's DC Superhero Girls, which is about, like, the DC Comics superhero females in high school. But it's fun because you do get to see, Cyborg and Green Lantern and Beast Boy, like, in this, like, high school environment as well. And I don't know, I think that it's like kind of like a clever way to handle it. We're going to be talking all about that. Then we're going to move into new things that are coming to Disney XD with Marvel. Now, specifically, there's a bunch of new shorts that are coming to Disney XD right now in this upcoming summer, along with Avengers Secret Wars, which is going to be the Avengers Assemble Season 4, which I'll briefly touch upon. But mainly, I do want to talk about these new Ant-Man shorts. And I kind of want to talk about what Marvel is trying to do animated wise, and overall what they're doing with television is very interesting. So I don't know, I kind of want to mention all of that. And then for our more controversial topic, a big topic that's going on right now because of Injustice 2, and that is the over-sexualization, is that maybe the word, of the female characters. So again, going back to female DC characters, and I know like feminists and just people who don't necessarily think that's necessary or whatever, And they're going a little bit crazy right now. But I don't know. Well, it's going to be an interesting one. But I thought it'd be a fun topic to close off this season of the animation block. Now, starting off with DC Superhero Girl. So like I said, it started off as like this animated web series. Now, this show is going to be coming out in 2018. So that's like not like too far away, considering that we're almost halfway done with 2017. I don't know how, but we are. And then we're going to be kind of moving into the summer, which is going to fly by, and then the fall, which will fly by. So this show, animated wise, the fact that they're just announcing this right now leads me to believe it's going to be a fall of 2018 show. Kind of similar to the way Justice League Action just premiered in like the very end of 2016, early 2017, and that was like announced way back in like fall of 2015. So they're going to go a route like that. So expect it about a little over a year. But I think this is going to be an interesting idea because you get to capitalize on your female DC characters. Now, the movies, right? They may not be doing the best justice, no pun intended, to these DC characters. Male, female, villain, hero. They're just not winning over the general audience. And, you know, while I've heard amazing things about Wonder Woman, because, like, people I know, people that I, like, I'm friends with or close to or not even close to, have said that they just don't care about Wonder Woman because they think DC films suck. And that's not all people, but those are a lot of people that are just general moviegoers around me right now. And I just don't think that the female characters, at least right now, aside from Wonder Woman, aside from Harley Quinn and maybe Batgirl, I just don't think that they're going to give them their ultimate spotlight that I think that a lot of them do deserve. In Justice, they're doing that. But I think you got to capitalize more on some of these characters, some of these really even new cool characters like Jessica Cruz. Now, part of the description for this series is that it's going to focus a lot on Jessica Cruz. And for those of you who don't know who Jessica Cruz is, she's one of the new Green Lanterns that they just brought in during DC Rebirth. And she's working very closely with Simon Baz, another Green Lantern, and she's a very cool character, and they've introduced a really powerful female Green Lantern. Other characters like Bumblebee, who you probably don't even know about. Like, Bumblebee's like an Atom sidekick. Or even someone like Lady Sheba. Like, you've probably never heard of some of these characters, and that's very cool that they're getting to get their spotlight in this broad DC universe. And it's cool to kind of see these characters all work as one unit. So I am wondering, you know, depending on the success or failure, which I'm pretty sure it's going to be super successful, of Wonder Woman, I'm wondering if you are going to see more superhero female-led programs, maybe from Marvel, maybe more from DC, I'm not sure, but I think this is a lot of fun that they're able to do this. Now, this show is also going to focus on a lot of characters, aside from some of these newer ones like Jessica Cruz, that they've been focusing on in the shorts, like Harley Quinn, Batgirl, Supergirl, a lot of those guys, right? And it's going to be nice to see them in an ultimate setting. Now, I think the when it's most enjoyable, which I can't say it's like the best cartoon ever, but it's decently enjoyable. When it is decently enjoyable, it's when they do have massive arcs, and it's like those movies, you know, that they have these big arcs that they're doing, and it's more, you know, dumbed down for children, but it's fine because that's like, it's good, right? For that age group. But I think in this show like that, you're going to have some sort of overarching plot. I think that's where cartoons are going more now. I think they're moving less away. It's like either full-blown like Rick and Morty type style where everything's like everywhere, right? And like it's super everywhere, but kind of cohesive at the same time. Or it's like a full-blown constructed plot. Like, you got to go one or the other. But I think this is a smart move. I do think it's a smart move. I think DC needs to get animated out there more. And I mean that in cartoon-wise, they're nailing the movies and all of that. They have multiple movies every year. But I think, like, you know, shows like Teen Titans Go put a bad taste in people's mouths. Justice League Action is actually great. But I think you need a little bit more of that stronger push of a story, and I think through the female characters that's going to be very cool and a very cool platform. Now, like I also said, this is going to be showrun or produced by the producer of My Little Pony. Now, I can see this as a good thing because Tara Strong, who plays Harley Quinn, has always worked super closely with this producer because she's a big part of My Little Pony. So I think this is also great because you're going to be getting a big focus on Harley Quinn, who's a great character. Tara Strong plays her brilliantly. But I think if you're going to make this a series, I mean, it's obviously been very successful. Make it a full push, do a full story. I think it's going to be the best for everything. Moving on to our second topic of the day, it would be new Marvel animation on Disney XD. So like I said, Marvel also pushing animation right now. They're pushing a ton of television right now. It's almost like absurd. And I'll run through them so you can understand what they're trying to produce right now. This is live action and animated, okay? You've got Cloak and Dagger, you have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5, you have Inhumans Season 1, The Runaways, The Defenders, Iron Fist Season 2, Daredevil Season 3, Jessica Jones Season 2, Luke Cage Season 2, The Punisher Season 1, The New Warrior Season 1 with Squirrel Girl, Marvel's Spider-Man, the animated series, Guardians of the Galaxy, the animated series, Deadpool, FXX, Donald Glover, the animated series, Avengers, Secret Wars, Season 4, the animated series, and now Ant-Man shorts and Rocket and Groot shorts. I think I actually left some things out because there's just that much, but that is a ton of content that they're trying to get out here. Granted, Marvel Animation is like a sub-shoot off of Marvel's TV studios or whatever, but it's all kind of, they're all produced by Jeff Loeb and Joe Quesada. And the bottom line is, that's just a ton of content. So how is this content going to perform? It seems like it's doing all right for the most part. The Netflix stuff's great. The animated stuff on Disney XD has been a little iffy. Now, I've recently talked a lot about the Spider-Man animated series, and I think they're doing great things there. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun getting to see, more classic style. But these Ant-Man shorts, to me, are very intriguing. Already it's a metaphor, a play on words, or whatever you call it, ironic, right? Because, Ant-Man's small, and you're doing these shorts, right? So that's going to be fun. I think this is going to be an interesting way to get a sense and idea for what Ant-Man might be doing in the movies, at least in his own movies, the Ant-Man and the Wasp. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Wasp. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some other classic Ant-Man rogue villains, kind of like Whirlwind, Dr. Egghead, who I think are just crazy characters that would be so much fun to see here as well. We're hearing things about how Ant-Man and Captain Marvel are going to be very connected in the movies. Now, I do wonder if the Ant-Man shorts could be kind of like Ant-Man just running around the Marvel world, just kind of doing like things with each and every character. Now, I think this is a brilliant concept for a show, and this is almost what I would love a Deadpool series to be. Deadpool running around the world, chilling with different superheroes, and I think that's the way to go right now. Like I was saying earlier, it's like either something has a very cohesive plot, or it's got to just be craziness. That's where animation is going. I don't know if you guys have realized this, but on channels like Disney XD, Disney Channel, and Nickelodeon, while animation still has a presence, it doesn't have a presence to the level it once did. That's obviously a different story for Cartoon Network and Adult Swim, because bottom line is that's the job of that channel. But you're seeing less and less animated stuff. At least I'm feeling that way. And you're seeing more, or if you are seeing more animated stuff, it is more of these digital, one-shot things or two-shot things that you can, check out every now and then. But, you're not, unless you're a massive cartoon fan, at least for an older audience, I think you pick and choose what you want to watch. I think this is a really smart move because, again, you get a feel for what this character is going to be doing and what it's going to look like, and you're going to be able to just expand that Marvel name through, like, these real short things that will come out and feature some of these really fun characters in a different and fun animated style. I think that's also important. As for Avengers Secret Wars, so where we left off, it seemed like, is that, of course, it was like, Civil War, aftermath of the Civil War, and this seems to be like it's going to just be every kind of hero versus them, that, you know, each other, or in other ones and other things as well. Now, of course, when you bring in the name Secret Wars, you're obviously just based upon what they've done in the original Secret Wars from like the 80s and the 90s, and then even the current Secret Wars that they just did in like 2015. It's obviously a big like reboot-ish type title. Like if you think about the Crisis on Infinite Earths for DC Comics, that was like end of what was it, like the Silver Age and like the introduction to the Golden Age, something like that. That's very much what it has been for Marvel, you know, kind of like a checkpoint in a portion of their comics, and then moving forward, starting something brand new. Now it seems like that's what this is aiming to do as well. We've been living in this Marvel Disney XD animated universe since, what was it been like? It's been like since 2012 with Ultimate Spider-Man. Now Ultimate Spider-Man came to an end earlier this year in like January. After that show came out, there was Avengers Assemble, which is obviously now Avengers Secret Wars. You had Hulk and the Agents of Smash and Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, to me, when you're saying, hey, you know, we've got a brand new Spider-Man series, and it's definitely not going to be connected, at least doesn't seem to be connected to the rest of this Disney XD universe, and you're doing Secret Wars, it seems like they're going to plan to end Avengers Assemble, or Secret Wars, and they're going to plan to end Guardians of the Galaxy, and all of that, and they might start in with some new, fresh things on Disney XD to go alongside the Spider-Man series. I think the best idea possible, X-Men. And X-Men, it's because Marvel and Fox have had these weird distribution rights. You know, just about a year or two ago, Marvel regained, and they made some deals with Fox to get some distribution rights back to X-Men. So now, you know, that's why you're getting to see all these X-Men Marvel Legends figures and all of that. And it's more mainstream. You know, the X-Men, they're back is like a mainstream property in Marvel Comics. Deadpool's getting his own animated series. I don't see why you wouldn't do another X-Men series. I think that would be great. I think, you know, maybe incorporating a new Avengers show, maybe about some of your younger heroes, or just doing a full-blown, you know, like some crazy space show or whatever that could be more like Thor Ragnarok, or something like Doctor Strange, or do a full-blown like show maybe about the villains, like maybe you do a Thanos show, like an animated series. I think that would be a lot of fun. Just getting to see some of these new characters, you know, do some different things, I think that would be very, very important in this age, of course, because again, like I'm saying, you know, it seems like, you know, the Marvel movies, the Marvel TV shows, they're changing right now, as everything is constantly changing, and you got to be the first to do something new and fresh. I think that's what they're aiming to do. Overall, though, I think Marvel has made some mistakes in recent years and in current years in not releasing more animated films. DC may not be at the same level of the movies that Marvel's at right now, or they may never ever get to that point, which, you know, who knows, right? But they're definitely beating them in the animated world. And like I was just talking about earlier, they don't have a ton of animated shows, but they have a ton of animated films, and that's something that I think Marvel has lacked upon, and so I am wondering, maybe that's going to be a bigger deal, you know, getting more like Disney XD animated films on there, rather than just animated shows that don't really gauge a wide group or a big group of people. Again, maybe more geared towards X-Men, maybe they do something more Deadpool-wise. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And now moving into our final topic, it's going to be a little bit more controversial, but I think this is something that we should talk about, because, you know, why not? And I feel like I've briefly touched upon this in different ways, in different possible ways, but of course, Injustice 2 just came out. It's been almost 2 weeks at this point. Game is phenomenal. It's so much fun. I think I like it better than the first one. It's great, okay? Everything is great, and especially you have to love this whole idea of getting to customize your characters. Now, of course, this is animated, you know, an animated podcast. It's not a video game podcast, right? But because it is cartoon style, a lot of it actually actually is, at least the story mode, the way it's done is that there's actually kind of a DC animated film in there, and they throw these fights to kind of, as like the actual battles and fights. It's very cool, it's very clever, and there's actually, you can find it probably on YouTube or on some website, but people have actually ripped the actual movie type footage, the animated footage out of the game itself and mashed it all together, and it makes this really fun movie. Of course, I'm still playing through the story mode, so I don't want to watch that fully yet, but the way it's done is fantastic. And the bottom line here, something that's actually been going on for quite a while, but I think is finally hitting a peak right now, and that is people complaining of the over-sexualization, I think, again, is the word, maybe not, but of these female characters. Now, of course, it's a very touchy time. It's a very touchy subject, because, it's, women's rights and feminists and just equal rights and all different kinds of things that may not have been a big deal 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 3 years ago, are a huge deal now. And, everyone's looking for, just not as much of that flashiness and more of like the more mellow tones, the more, typical geared type things, which is, it's interesting, right? How times, like how just a couple years, a couple big events, a couple, movements can change the way in what people really want. Now, a lot of, fanboys, a lot of, actual designers, a lot of actual players of the game, they like this, right? They like the more sexualized versions of these characters. And I can't complain myself, but there are people who are not exactly loving that. So let's talk about the benefits and the downfalls of some of these things, because there are some. Now, it sounds like that message like that a lot of people don't like about like you have to look a specific way, which I don't really understand, but I do hear this argument. I do see this argument that people don't like, seeing their icons or superheroes in this light, because, it gives them like a different, idea of image. Now you look at Wonder Woman movie, and Gal Gadot doesn't necessarily have, she's obviously gorgeous, but she doesn't have like the over sexualized I guess suit that Injustice 2 version does. And I think a lot of people are responding better towards that. Same thing goes with Harley Quinn. It is a little bit of an over sexualized suit, but it's not like to the level that it is in Injustice 2. And a lot of people, a lot of women have responded very positively towards that. And I think overall it's just, no one's complaining about the looks in the movies. And I think that's like something that I guess, they've really worked in well, is being able to balance a comic look, but also a more practical, real look, because, people in the real world, unless you're, hanging out with supermodels or whatever, or down in Miami or California, people don't necessarily look like that. It's like a shame, but, not everyone looks like that, right? So, a lot of people have complained about that. I don't know. I think it's interesting because this was an issue with Overwatch, really. Like, I guess we're about to get a little, age 17 here. We're going to get a little super adult here. But, of course, in the Overwatch characters, which love Overwatch, couldn't applaud it more. If you haven't played it, which you probably have played it somewhere or at least seen it, I really recommend picking it up. It's such a worthy purchase. It'll keep you busy. It never ever gets old, and if it does, you always come back to it anyway. Whatever. With the female characters, they were said to be over sexualized as well. And this is the little 17 part. People actually made like pornography of these people, of the Overwatch characters, and that was like a big news story, and it kind of follows in the same, Injustice 2 follows in the same style as that, and it's like it's still a I wouldn't say it's a problem, but it's a very interesting topic, and again, people complaining about it, people obviously enjoying it, and I think that's what it's for, but at the same time, I think it also like goes to like, for like us at the Big Bang Network, we're obviously Power Ranger guys, right? We do a lot of Power Ranger content overall. And there's something that a lot of people complain about. It's a very similar topic, and that is that, I guess, you have the action figures of the Power Rangers, the male figures, and they're super beefed up, like on steroids, extra muscly. And then you actually look at the show and the actors, and when they're in their suits, and they don't have like the super bulging muscles, and it's like it's a very similar type thing. Like, people aren't really sure if that's like practical or something that needs to be shown through like figures for mainstream toys for kids. But again, it's made for that enjoyment, it's made for that superhero feel. But like, even like the Iron Man suit, when they make that super muscly and built up, Robert Downey Jr. is obviously not super muscly and built up, and it goes back to all these different things. I can't necessarily, I'm not necessarily complaining, because I think that's fun. I think it's interesting to see your characters in this light, because you obviously see them, they're wearing spandex, right? It's not like a super loose fitting clothing, and I'm not saying they should do that. I'm just saying, like, you can tell that they do seem like for a sex appeal, and that's what sells things. A sex appeal does sell film, sells video games, but at this point in time, you can see that there's just a group of people, that it's a movement almost. I shouldn't call it a movement, but just like a mindset that's like just not, normal or okay at this point. I don't know if I agree or disagree with that. I'm kind of like, I'll do whatever, right? I'll take whatever there is, but it's a very interesting topic, and I thought I would bring that up while when on the other hand, we're sitting here talking about earlier in this podcast, we're talking about the DC Superhero Girls animated series, which is geared towards kids, and that is very geared towards kids, right? They like, put looser costumes for these. They make the costumes like looser fitting on these, so it's not super form fitting and tight towards these girl characters, so these female characters, and it's like two completely different opposite spectrums. So I do find that interesting in the world of animation to have the differences, to have the similarities. Sex sells. I think that's the bottom line. I think that's always going to be something that's the bottom line. But I do wonder if that will ever fade, just due to what it does seem like this world and us and the society of America and throughout is kind of coming more towards. On the other hand, you look at all the manga and anime stuff that's going on, and you've got like women completely popping out of clothes, and it's like, well, then I guess a lot of people aren't. So I think that it's a very divided topic. I don't know. I never would complain about that, but I do find it interesting that people who do complain about that. If you could even like look at Twitter, it's very interesting. So I thought I'd mention that just as, to kind of cap off the season, right? To kind of culminate the season, because of course, we started season 2 of the animation block all the way back in August of 2016, and now we're in the end of May 2017, and it's not a full year, not quite a full year. It's like 9-ish months, right? Maybe give or take, whatever. But even since then, animation has changed. The way people are looking at things, they're changed. I don't know, you have things like Rick and Morty, which it's gotten even bigger than it was back in last August, just due to what, it's like people are going crazy for more adult type things, but at the same time, you have these situations where people are complaining that things are like too sex, centered and too much of this and too much of that. I do wonder if that will fade. I do wonder how much more animation will come to change and stay the same, and all of this as time goes on and through other new seasons of the animation block. So here's the bottom line. I do want to just let everyone know about this. Of course, be starting June, about in the middle of June, we're going to start season 3. Now, we're going to try to do some different things, but of course, I'm going to be marketing Animation Block more so on my channel, Infinite Attitude, and we're going to try to make this a more regular type thing on the Big Bang Network. And that's also we're going to change the format a little bit, but if I recommend that, stay up to date with Infinite Attitude attitude as well, because we're going to be updating more on Animation Block, and we're going to kind of make this more of a weekly type thing. We're going to try to get some interviews with some people, and hopefully we'll be able to get some new, maybe more exclusive stuff, if I'm able to get some of my sources to come into more of that. So we'll see what goes on. But I do thank you guys for watching Season 2 of the Animation Block, and of course, stay up to date with the Big Bang Network. I have to thank everyone for over 1,000 subscribers on the Big Bang Network. It's been a couple years here, and it's been a fun place to be. You can kind of put absolutely anything on this channel, and it could just kind of thrive or not thrive or whatever. We'll see what happens, but I've had a good time here, and hope you guys have as well. And if you want more Animation Block, if you want more, crazier things to come on this, whether we do get some interviews or some exclusive stuff, you have to share this video, you have to like this video, tweet it out, tell your friends about it, because then we'll know that we can get some actual audience going here. But thanks again for watching, and overall, this has been the Animation Block.